everyone. I'm Kenya Brown with 93.1 WZAK, and we love bringing you some great information, especially when it comes to your health. And did you know that Black men are at a higher risk for developing health related issues? Unfortunately, men are less likely to schedule preventative care with a primary doctor. Fewer than 50% of men are nationally have a primary care doctor. Yet, getting regular checkups and recommended screenings is the best way to protect your health, both now and down the road. June is Men's Health Month, a perfect time to encourage your son, your dad, your brother, and other men in your life to schedule an appointment with a primary care doctor. Joining us today to discuss men's health is Dr. Gregory Hall, an internal medicine physician at University Hospitals. How are you, Dr. Hall?
I'm doing great. I'm trying to figure out how it's June already, but
I know.
Men's Health Month, yeah, but I just can't believe it. It was like February a day ago.
I know. I think the good months go so fast, but we're
That's
trying
right.
to get guys into the doctor, which is a little easier said than done sometimes.
Absolutely. Men, we're just a rough, unique bunch, right?
Yes,
We care for
absolutely.
everything. We care for everything but ourselves, right?
Yes. You're tough. You want to just put a little dirt on it and keep it moving. But we're
Right.
not going to put dirt on it, all right? We're not going to keep it moving. Now, Dr. Hall, tell us, why should men's health matter more?
Well, men, we die prematurely. 7 years on average, all men compared to women, and I'm sure the data is worse for African American men like myself. We have the highest death rate for almost everything that kills people, right? And particularly African American men. Prostate cancer, lung cancer, colon cancer, pancreatic cancer. I could just go on. The highest heart attack rate, highest stroke rate, highest high blood pressure rate, highest congestive heart failure rate. And so these things don't have to be that, right? We don't have to, compared to, say, Asian American men who have the longest life expectancy, they live longer than Black women, right?
Hmm.
So it's not that men just have to die before women, or particularly African American men have to die worse than everybody, So there are things that we can do, and prevention.
Absolutely. So, as far as prevention, when should men start regular checkups?
Well, you should regularly check up yourself with the doctor, like throughout your life. I mean, your mother's going to make sure you go all while you're a child, right? And then when 18, when you switch over from a pediatrician to an internal medicine doctor like myself, I see people 18 and over, or some people have family practices with see people all throughout their lives. But you really should check in annually throughout your life. In your 20s, there's still development going on. There's issues with people need to be told, really, to brush their teeth. People don't remember how having good oral health is can be related to your heart, can be related to your risk for infections, or your risk for losing your teeth. I mean, and we kind of skim over it, but it's very important. And I have to tell some people in their 20s, I look into their mouths, look at their tonsils, and then I got, oh my God, you got to brush your teeth, you got to floss, because that can be related to other health issues later in life. As you know, STDs are a big deal in the 20s. And so that's a time when we need to really look at, we got to screen you, because a lot of these STDs, trichomonas, chlamydia, have no symptoms. Some of the other ones do, but just because you don't have any symptoms doesn't mean you don't have and are spreading something. And you see the look on some people's faces when I tell them that their test came back positive. They have no clue how long they've had it or when they got it. And so when you get into your 30s, I mean, you tend to be on more cruise control. But I was telling someone earlier this week, he didn't look right. He looked weaker than I was used to. And I see him every year, and he just didn't look right. And he was like, I was just at a picnic and everyone was telling me how good I looked. And I was like, I don't know, because I'm looking at you from a health standpoint. And so we started looking for things and found there was some things going on that he wouldn't have known. And so he thought he was fine, and everyone was kind of telling him he was fine. But me looking at him from a health standpoint, I was thinking about my mother, who would tell you, you stink. Go upstairs and put some deodorant on. A doctor will tell you some stuff that everybody else at a picnic won't tell you, right? And
Yeah.
so I think it's important to come in your 30s and your 40s. We start screening for prostate cancer. You need to know what your PSA is. 45 colon cancer screening. We got neat ways of doing that without probing people too much. And so throughout your life, based on your age and your risk and your family history, we are looking for things so we can find stuff early before it becomes a problem and then kills us prematurely, like the data shows has been happening.
Absolutely. And we got to push past those the noise of our family sometimes. Back in the day it's like, nothing's bleeding. You better not call the ambulance, or you better not, go to the doctor and rack up any bills. But those relationships with your primary care physician, they're so important because like you said, you were able to look at your patient and say, oh, something isn't quite jiving right. I want you to do some testing and whatever. But if they don't have a relationship with you and to know what your previous numbers are, how you were before, then they wouldn't know whether or not, maybe we need to look into something more. So those things are important. Now, tell us a little bit about some of the screenings that men should be getting.
Well, I mean, you need to be screened by eyes by your primary care doctor who knows you, like we were just talking about. Just like I hadn't drawn any blood on this guy. I was just looking at him and saying, he doesn't look right. And I didn't know what it was, right? But really having someone you know who knows what you look like and seeing them, having your blood tested. And we do a thing called a comprehensive metabolic panel, a CMP, that checks your blood sugar, your kidney function, your liver function, your sodium, your potassium. And so those things, when things start to go wrong, those things kind of go wrong early before you know they're going on. We also check for your cholesterol, your good and the bad. That's clogging your arteries and increasing your risk for heart attack or stroke. So we're going to do that every year or two, particularly if it's elevated. We need to do that. We draw your PSA, like I mentioned earlier, starting at age 40. It's a blood test, screening test for prostate cancer. So I don't have to do a prostate exam, which no one enjoyed. So, we start drawing those. So a lot of blood tests can be done that will screen for stuff that we didn't have even 20 years ago. And so people who were avoiding doctors like myself because they were afraid I was going to probe or do something, we don't have to do that. Even screening for STDs, they used to do those little, like a Q-tip in your urethra, which was never fun for anyone. Now they just screen that with urine. So you literally just pee in a cup and they can analyze that and see if you have chlamydia or gonorrhea, trichomonas. And so it's really not invasive, if you know what I mean. If you're avoiding because of pain, you really don't have to do that anymore. And so there's this array of things that are coming out and continuing to come out that you can't keep up with, because I can barely keep up with it, that we're using to try to keep you healthy.
Yes, so you want those baseline numbers. So you want to go early and you want to go often enough that you have that relationship with your doctors. And there's a lot of things that have changed. Like Dr. Hollis said, it doesn't have to be as invasive as it once was. So make sure you share this video. You share the funny stuff, but share this. We try to help you out, try to help those men get to the doctor. Now, what specifically should minority men be aware about?
Well, we just know that our risk, if it's bad, our risk for it is worse, and that's just, some of that is our fault, and some of it is providers, doctors like myself, not knowing the specifics of African American health and the different things. Some of it is us not liking medicine and kind of pushing away from medicine when other people are kind of leaning into it. We leaned into GPS and we leaned into all the new things that are in the car, but when it comes to new medicines, we're leaning away from those things. And I don't quite understand why, but we got to look at that. I sort of know why, because of all those historical things where people were experimenting on us. But now we got to try to just shift our thing and say, wow, if I could take me 2-3 seconds to take a pill every day, and now my blood pressure is normal, that's wow. Why can't I take 3 seconds out? Why is that so distasteful for me? And then also, if I said on these earlier interviews, buy a $35 machine, put it in the kitchen table, and stick your arm in it and measure your blood pressure and measure everyone who comes in's blood pressure to see what it is, to see if you even need to take a pill for it, or to even, and you can also measure, what did I eat yesterday that drove up my blood pressure? And so you can kind of see, if you have some Chinese food or something, or a fish fry, your blood pressure is going to be higher the next day because of the increased salt. If you kind of do better, your blood pressure is going to be lower. And so you can see those things. So I don't have to kind of just keep telling you your blood pressure is high. You can do it yourself at home and measure your real risk.
Yes, and these are silent killers. They're called silent killers for a reason because you're not going to look at yourself and be like, "Oh, my blood pressure is up today." You need to actually check that thing and make sure that you are within the right parameters so that you're not causing this cascade of disease and illness on the back end. Now, what else can men do to protect their health?
Well, I just think you need to have a schedule. So I mentioned again earlier, I go to the doctor every year near my birthday, and that's purely so I can remember. Because if it wasn't associated with it, I know some years would go by because I can't believe it. I can't even believe it's June now, but I know some years would go by, and I was like, oh man, it's been 2 years since I went. So you need to associate it with either your birthday or your mother's birthday or something that you're doing for you. You need to be deliberate about taking care of yourself first. Like they say on the airplane, put your oxygen on before you help anyone else. It's so true. And men in particular we're caregivers, and we're protectors of everybody but ourselves, right? And so we need to just change that. Really, just look at that mindset and say, well, make sure we can't protect anyone, we can't lead anyone, we can't educate anyone, we can't mentor anyone if we're not healthy, right? It's people aren't going to believe you. I got to listen to you and look at you. You're dying of cancer. You're dying of heart disease. So we want to be able to take care of ourselves first before we take care of everyone else.
Absolutely. And as I said, listen, we're here for you. We care about your health. Men, you are the backbone of our families. We want you to be okay. We want you to feel good, be able to advocate for yourself. And really, that goes for the whole family. So, you want to take care of these things. Share this video and don't give your family members a hard time when your cousin or your wife or your daughter says, go to the doctor because you need this, okay? Now, we want to thank Dr. Hall for being with us today and talking about why men's health matters and why it's important to see a doctor often. As we finish, I want to remind everyone to prioritize your health by finding a doctor you trust. Call 216-714-2397 to schedule an appointment today. To learn more about our Black Health 365 program, visit WZAKCleveland.com for more info. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Hall.
Thanks so much for having you. And wouldn't a good Father's Day gift be a blood pressure monitor? That's a good, cheap Father's Day gift, wouldn't it?
They're so cheap. There's no excuse. You can get a blood pressure monitor anywhere, and it's definitely saved my life. All right, y'all. So, just full transparency, it saved my life. So, check those numbers. You can't advocate for yourself any other way. All right.